Hello, everyone, and welcome to the monthly Oracle Wisdom for the month of November 2024. My name is Natalie, and we're going to get pretty much straight into it. As we've been doing for the last few months, I have set up a pick-a-pile system going on here. I will show you the crystals that I have used so that you can pick whichever crystal you're drawn to more. While I've pulled all the cards, I haven't seen any of them, so we'll be seeing them together. So pile number one is my orange calcite owl with his tiger eye eyes. Pile number two is tiger's eye. And then pile number three is my beautiful labradorite owl. Can never see the fire in her belly close up. We always have to come a little bit further out. So sit, take a breath, shut your eyes, and just take a moment and think about which crystal you are drawn to more, and that will be the pile that is for you. So we've got the orange calcite owl, the tiger's eye, or the labradorite. Okay, so if you have made your selection, we are going to get right into it. Okay, so pile number one, for those of you that chose that pile, this is my gorgeous little orange calcite owl. All right, so card number one, there's a path, you're meant to be on it, trust it. So if you have been questioning what direction you're going in, if you're doing the right things, if your soul is telling you this is what you're meant to be doing, you have to trust it. And you have to remember that not every path is just easy and it just flows and you get to where you want to go immediately. No destination is just there in front of you. So you have to trust that the journey is exactly what it's meant to be. You're learning incredible skills along the way. I mean, this is how we grow. So trust it. Okay, the next card, a powerful change will transform your life. We are going through huge changes at the moment as a collective, and also personally. I think everybody's astrology chart at the moment has some really big aspects and transits that everybody's facing. I know I'm going through my third pass of Neptune hitting my natal Mars. And it's a difficult transit, the fatigue and everything that comes with it. Now, this time for me, it's not going to hit directly, but it's coming within minutes of Mars. And, it's tough, but there is a reason why this cycle is happening. On a collective level, we have Pluto about to move into Aquarius, and it will never come back into Capricorn in our lives. And that's a huge adjustment for us as a collective. Any of these outer planets, as they're moving, are huge for the collective. So you have to remember that while change can be scary, it's a really good thing. And for those of you that have picked this pile, whatever change is coming is coming. I see transformation as a good thing. Think about the caterpillar making its cocoon. The caterpillar goes in there, and even if it's scary because it can feel that its life as a caterpillar is over, it's about to transform into this beautiful butterfly that will take the breath away of everybody that sees it. So you have to trust what is happening and go with it. Don't cling to the old. Don't cling to what's familiar just because it's familiar. It will all make sense soon. So this really is, especially for you, I think it is for everybody, but especially for you, this really is a journey of trust at the moment. And it's probably going to be testing you because trust is one of the hardest things. It's hard when we're in relationships and there's somebody new, and to let your guard down and everything that comes with a new relationship, but trusting the universe, because we desperately want to be in control of everything. And that's not always possible. Change your perspective of the people that are around you and keep an open mind. I always find that when we're going through a moment of change or when we're going through a moment of adversity and we are struggling, sometimes it's the people that you expect to be there with you and supporting you and for you are the ones that really let you down, and that absolutely breaks your heart. But at the same time, it's in those moments that people that have always been in your life and maybe they've been on the periphery, they're the ones that step up and are there for you in an incredible way. And you it can change that can change everything. How those relationships develop and change and how those people support you can shift everything. So clearly you need to keep an open mind because maybe you've got somebody around you that is about to step up in a way that you didn't ever think or imagine, or maybe there's just somebody that's sort of going to step forward because the timing is right for you to view them in a different way. And what an exciting, I love when things like this happen because it leads to so many new adventures. And the last card from this deck is lessons in life will repeat until they are learned. This coming out in this reading, I think this goes back to the thing that I said a little while ago, that if you're hanging on to what's old and what's familiar because it is familiar and you're scared of what's coming, this is where you're going to keep repeating the pattern. And that's not good for you. It's not good for advancing your life. And it's not good for all the things that you would love to happen moving forward. So just remember, if you're caught in a loop, you're the one that can change it. It is completely up to you. Okay, so I only pulled one of the butterfly effect cards. I wasn't even going to use them today, but I kept hearing in my head that we needed one card. So this one is learning. You are being led down the path of unlearning and relearning to make smarter decisions as you navigate uncharted ground ahead. Trade knowing for curiosity. Well, if that isn't if that isn't a confirmation of everything that we have just talked about, I don't know what is. So it's time to let go of all of that. It's time. Oh, I thought I only pulled one card. There's a second card here. So let's have a look at that before we move on. Challenge. Be proud of all that you've lived through and always find the good in the bad. You have the power to rise up to the challenge and build your own doors for opportunity to knock on. It's time to be brave. It's time to build that cocoon and come out as a butterfly. I just, the fact that two cards were in there when I was sure there was only one. So you needed to hear that message. And to me, this is super exciting. I mean, I don't know anyone that wants to be stuck in the same spot. Even if life is good, don't you want it to grow and evolve? And if there's stuff in your life that sucks, it's time to let go and just move forward, new adventures, new people, new sites. Maybe it's a new location, but it's time. So the only thing holding you back will be if you continue to hang on to something that no longer serves you. And I think if you're doing that, you already know. And if you know you're stuck in this constant cycle, it's time to let go of it. All right. So the next deck we're using is Through the Eyes of the Soul. So I just pulled two of these. The first card is Shifts Happen, Stabilize Your Energy Fields. So once again, we come back to the fact that things are shifting. So this is where you need to ground yourself. You need to be clear in your intentions of where it is you want to go, where you need to go. And sometimes when we're going through change, it's very easy to be going ahead with all of these things and all of a sudden have a moment where your brain completely freaks out. Because again, you're stepping into the unknown. The unknown is always scary. With that being said, that's fine. Have your freak out. Take a moment, take a breath, take the evening and just breathe and be and feel it all, and then the next morning you have to get up and be brave once again. But meditate, do whatever it is that grounds you, that brings you back to center. I had a girlfriend who, the way, because I would talk about meditating and I would say to her, because she was quite spiritual, do you meditate? And she went, no. I said, really? How do you ground yourself? How do you clear your head? How do you let it all go? And for her, it was playing solitaire. Some days, if I don't really have time to meditate, or I think I don't have time, I stand in the shower and I hold my breath and I stick my face under the water, or my entire head if I'm not wanting to, if I'm going to wash my hair, and letting the water run over me and just breathing and imagining that the water is washing everything that doesn't serve me down the drain. Sometimes that's enough, but this is where it's up to you and you have to stabilize. Okay, the last one of these cards is return from the underworld, engage life. So for this last little while, have you been hiding from the world? Have you been antisocial? Have you just been essentially on autopilot and not engaging in the world around you? It's time. You have so much great stuff coming your way, and it's time to put yourself out there. It's time to get excited. It's time to get excited about life and step into this. And if you're a high viber, David, the Leo King, has been saying for ages that the astrological energy that we're moving into is it's the energy of the extroverts, and the introverts are going to struggle. And the reality is, someone like me, I always say I'm an extroverted introvert. I love time on my own. I love escaping from the world. And maybe that's because in human design, I'm a manifester, but I need that time on my own. But the reality is, it's time to be social. It's time to accept the invites for the dinners and the get-togethers and all the things, and put yourself out there, because you don't know who or what is walking into your life. The butterfly effect card talks about taking the challenge and building your own doors for opportunity to knock on. Part of that is socializing, because you don't know who you're going to meet and what opportunities those people will bring into your life, whether it be directly or indirectly. But all of these things matter and play a part with each other. And sometimes when I explain this to people, they get annoyed if they go somewhere and nothing comes from it. But the reality is, these things don't need to happen immediately. You build these relationships and you see these people, and there are friendships, and slowly things develop. So it's about planting all those seeds, but you have to put yourself out there. The other side of that is, when you start saying yes to things, the universe acknowledges that you're saying yes and that you are ready, and it will give you more. Okay, so the final card, because we're actually using 4 decks today, is the Archangel Michael Sword of Light Oracle. And I love these cards, and I was so tempted to pull more, but we only need one. So your card is, no, it's not time yet. This is not the divine right time to take action. Please be patient. The opportune moment is approaching. So I get that this contradicts what we've just talked about, but I see this as, it may not be time to make the final action, but it's definitely time. It's definitely time to start moving forward, to start this process. To me, this is just about ending and taking huge action, but trusting and moving down the path and starting that journey, that all works, and it will all make sense soon. It's just, you're not quite there just yet, but it's all there before you. So start the journey. Okay, so pile number 2, which is the tiger's eye. So, all right, let's get into it. All right, card number 1. I promise you it does get better. If you've been struggling with life and the energies have been really difficult, one of my favorite sayings in life is, this too shall pass. And whether it be that I'm in a really tough workout and every part of me wants to quit because my body is shaking, say to myself, this too shall pass. But it's the same when I'm stuck in a crappy situation. This too shall pass. And I know that there are moments where you're stuck in something and it doesn't feel like it will pass, but I assure you it does. It always does. It's like when a storm rolls in. It'll storm for a while and it might be shitty, but the storm always disappears. The sun comes out and everything starts to bloom again and everything looks brighter. So if you're going through it, just know that this will end. The second card is your life is at a turning point. Right now, you're ready. So for those that are watching pile number 2, it's pile number 1 was about a lot of change and energy shifting. So I bring this back to the astrology. The astrology is insane right now, and there's so much going on, especially with the outer planets. And I feel like this is affecting all of us, and it's affecting all of us in different ways. But I see this as a good thing. And if you look at the imagery on this card, if you take just a quick glance, it looks really dark, but the way I see it is they're coming out of a cave. So whatever darkness you've been in, you're coming out and you can see the light beaming down right outside of that cave. So again, it does get better. All right, the next card, it was a necessary ending so that you can pursue the life you're destined to lead. Leave the past behind. That's you coming out of the cave. And whenever there's loss, whether it be by choice, whether it be death, whether it be the universe forcing you to move on, why are we not focusing? Okay, so that's not going well. Okay, there we go. It's part of life. It's part of what makes up our story. And if part of the sadness and cocooning ourselves is because of death, you have to reframe how you look at the loss of that person or animal or whoever it may be. Because as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about Bumble. And for those that don't know, Bumble was my beautiful rescue dog who passed really suddenly last February. And I don't know that it's a death I'll ever get over, but you learn to live with it and move on, right? But with that being said, part of how I dealt with all of that was by focusing on how lucky I was to have that incredible love in my life and to start every single day with that dog with nothing but love and laughter. And we laughed so hard together. I realize I'm saying we, and some of you are probably thinking he was a dog. I'm telling you, that dog laughed. It's a whole separate story. But sometimes these people, these animals, whoever it is, they come into our lives for a reason. We have a contract, a soul contract beforehand that we're going to have this time together and create these incredible memories. If we lose someone because of a breakup, sometimes those are karmic relationships to help our soul grow, and that's all it was meant to do. Maybe we're finishing a karmic contract and that contract is over, and so it's time to move on. But again, those people coming into our lives, even if it ends badly, we created incredible memories together. Maybe if there's no good memories, they came in to teach us a really hard soul lesson, but we're better people for it on the other side. There is always a way. So you need to be able to frame these things in a way that will help you move forward. And every single situation that we go through, it makes us better humans. It enriches our story. And you have to take all of that and use that as fuel to get to your next step. So the next card is don't soothe your pain with momentary pleasures. And this is something that we all want to do, whether it be with sex, with being online and posting thirst traps so that we get the attention of just people and we have people telling us how amazing we are. Maybe it's food and just overindulging in food that's not good for us, that's not nourishing our bodies. You can do little things, but be careful in what you're doing and think about the consequences, because it's very easy to sort of spiral into a routine of constantly doing things that will give us, that hit of dopamine, um, to sort of keep us going, because that's not working through our pain in a healthy or productive way. So, okay, so like I said at the beginning of this reading, I pull these cards, I meditate before I do, and I tell the cards what it is I want from this reading in terms of this is how many cards I'm pulling. I'm doing it for pile 1, 2, and 3. I don't look at anything, but you seriously can't make this up. And while there are similar themes in pile 1 and pile 2, they are completely different readings. And I'm just looking at this, and to me, this is a perfect message that all aligns. So the final card from this deck is you're going to master your material reality in the future. So whatever you're going through, and as hopeless as it can feel, this has been for your growth, and you will come out on top, and you have to remember that. So don't indulge in things that aren't serving you. Like I said, if you need to take a moment to breathe, to do something that makes you feel good, great, do it. Don't let it be something destructive, and don't let it become a crutch for you to constantly cling to, because the light's there. The good things are right there. It's up to you if you walk out of the darkness. Okay, so we're moving on to the butterfly effect deck. And this card is Miracle. A miracle is coming your way, and it's just around the corner. So don't lose hope. Trust that all is unfolding beautifully in your life without delays. So in the in the first reading, I said it's about trust. And I feel like all of us in this moment as a collective are being asked to trust the universe and trust the journey that we're on. And I don't think that's any different for you. And you can do this, but it's also up to you. So then we move on to Through the Eyes of the Soul. Just these cards blow my mind every time I do one of these readings. So this card is Visualize Healing. So whatever it is you've been going through, it's time to heal. And maybe the hurt is new and you're still working your way through it. That's fine. But you need to visualize yourself coming back together. And also remember that you have the support of the universe. You have the support of your ancestors who are all guiding and protecting you and cheering you on. And if you need to rely on them and you need to trust in that, do it. And if you've been stuck in this hurt for a while, you have to reframe that loss. And don't get caught in the whole victim mentality of all of it. It's not serving you. To get stuck in the victim mentality, it allows you to wallow. It allows you to stay in that pain and maybe you get a certain amount of attention, but after a while people get tired and they don't know how to help you. And then that allows you to spiral even more. And it's not good. It's not healthy. And you don't need to exist in that place. And you can have the feelings come up. I still have my moments about Bumble where I cry because I miss him so terribly much. And then I sit there and think, why don't I have another dog yet? But I haven't found the one. I haven't had that bolt of lightning when I've seen a dog where I just know that that's who I'm meant to be with, like I did with him. And I feel it, and I let myself cry, and I do the things that will make me feel better. But then it's time to pick myself up and keep going. And you know what? He would hate it if I sat down on my couch and never got up. So you're in charge of your healing. You are. And it might take work, and maybe you need help. And if you do, go and see a therapist or a counselor or energy healer, whatever works for you and whatever speaks to your soul, but it's time to move through that and let go of it. The next card is regeneration, death, and rebirth. So while we can take that literally, it's also about, to me, death and rebirth, it's also the ending of chapters in our lives and starting fresh. It's about coming out of a certain part of our life and you come through it a different person. When I was in the abusive relationship, so after my marriage ended, I ended up in a relationship that I didn't pursue. He pursued me. It was only a 2-year relationship, incredibly abusive. And I have been debating whether or not to put a series up on TikTok about this relationship because I think domestic violence is something that's not talked about enough, on a number of levels. While I wouldn't wish that on anybody, what I went through, I wouldn't go back and change it because it turned me into the human that I am. And talk about a version of death and rebirth. That relationship killed the older version of Natalie. And the one that was born again or that came through the other side was a much better version of me because I understood that life wasn't black and white. There were shades of gray. I used to say if anybody ever laid a hand on me, I'd be out the door so fast. Doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. These people are master manipulators. So there's different versions of death and rebirth. And every time we have a huge loss and we have to sort of pick ourselves up and move forward again, it's a rebirth. We're coming out a new person, a new version of ourselves, because that is what life does to us. And if you look at this card, you can see the butterflies. And that seems to be a theme because I talked about butterflies in pile number 1. And it was all about the the caterpillar going into the cocoon and coming out as a butterfly, and how it could be scary going into the unknown because we don't know what's going to happen. And yet how they emerge on the other side, how the caterpillars emerge on the other side as butterflies, are so incredibly beautiful that they take the breath away of everybody that sees them. And it's no different for you. So it's time for this new chapter to start. Let go of the old and step into the new, because what's there is absolutely beautiful. So the final card is the Archangel Michael Sword of Light Oracle. You are protected. You are safe within my bubble of light. You can proceed with confidence. So, I mean, there couldn't be a louder message or a clearer message that it is time for you to step out of this cave, to, you know what, to shed the shackles that have been holding you for so long. It's time to step into the light. It's time to let go of all that weight that you've been carrying, the burdens and the guilt and the anger and the sadness. They're all human emotions and you're allowed to feel them, but it is absolutely positively time to shed the burden of those and step out into a new life, to step into the light and to trust that the universe has you. It will always, always catch you. So the decision is yours, whether you stay in the cave or step out. But if you're watching this, this is a very clear message that it's time. And now it is time for pile number 3. If you picked my Labradorite owl, oh, there we go. There she is. I'm always disappointed when I don't see the flash, but you can see it a little bit there. I think it's better if I do this during the daylight hours, but it is a Friday, so I was down in Irvine and we did full disclosure. So if you are not a member of High Vibe, go join High Vibe and watch that. It was an incredible episode. Okay, so let's get into pile number 3. Believe in yourself and your ability to carry out your dream. So I don't know if you're having doubts, but look at the fire that I don't know if she's standing in it or on top of it, but There are sparks. It is time to go. I feel like this is a very Aries card. Single person standing there and ready to take on the world. Honestly, it looks like she's ready to take on Los Angeles with that guitar and looking out over the city. But it's time to believe. Okay, so remember, many of the clouds casting shadows aren't real. So much of what we perceive as being a bad thing or something scary that we think is going to happen, that's our own self-talk. That's fear taking hold. And fear is your worst enemy. And it's if you're not doing things and if you're not acting because of the clouds that you can see or the self-talk of fear in your head, you're allowing fear to win. And that's the worst possible thing you can do. Then you're going to be paralyzed and stuck for the rest of your life. So this comes down to what it is you want. And if you're brave enough to face what's there. There was a book. I don't know if I've talked about this in any of these readings before. There was a book that I read when I was at school. I was in sixth grade and I have no idea what the book was. And I remember I hated reading it. It was very sort of a sci-fi fantasy type of book. Anyway, this kid goes on a quest. I think he's trying to save his father and he gets to the final challenge. And before he gets there, I don't even know who he's speaking to, but the person says they're going to test you, but you have to remember it's not real. You are safe. And so there's this pep talk about how it's not real. Anyway, he gets to this thing and he's got to get his hands on something and he's got to hang on to it to be able to retrieve it and ultimately, I'm sure, save his father. And as he's holding it, there's flames and he can feel it burning his hands. And I feel like there are some other things that happen and it's terrifying and it's scary and it hurts. And the whole time he's saying, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real. And then all of a sudden the challenges stop. He's still got his hands on whatever it is he's meant to be hanging on to. And he gets it and he saves the day. But when he looks at his hands, there's no burn marks, there's no scars, there's no cuts, there's no damage. And he realizes that it was all an illusion. The clouds aren't real. You have to go and you have to trust. So the next card, you won't always feel alone. You're attracting your soul tribe. When you're being true to you and when you're following your soul's calling, the wrong people fall away and the right people come in. First of all, losing the people that aren't aligned with you, or maybe that you've outgrown, or that just aren't meant to be part of this journey. It can be hurtful, it can be scary, but that leaves room for the right people to come in. And sometimes it's not that anything bad has happened. It's just that part of the journey that you guys were on together is not meant to continue. It's just done. And it can be a horribly lonely feeling. But if you just sit with that and you trust the universe, the right people come in. I moved to another country and I don't think I was ever scared because I've always been fine with being on my own. And I went out with groups of different people and I had lots of fun and I created great memories, but I didn't have my soul family. And it was in 2021, an event came up and I didn't know if I should go. The tickets were expensive and I went on my own and I thought, well, trial and error. I may be throwing all this money away, but maybe I'll make some friends. The people I'm closest to here, I met that night. And it was the greatest gift I ever gave to myself. And I am grateful every day for that entire circle and that I took that risk. So if you're feeling lost or you're feeling alone, put yourself in positions by doing things that you love and that speak to your soul, because that's how you'll meet different people. And you also have to trust that the universe will put you with these people. And that's how you find your soul tribe. So you have to trust it. Uproot your life and leave all that is familiar to you. Funny, considering I just talked about how I moved countries. But sometimes to get somewhere different, you have to leave where you are and where you're comfortable. It's like a pot, a tree in a pot, and they hit a point where they've grown all that they can grow in that pot. And if they're going to grow any more, they need to be repotted or planted in the ground. Something needs to shift. So maybe it's time to move. And sometimes just moving house is enough to shift the energy to bring in a whole bunch of new things and feelings. Be willing to let go of everything you once thought to be true. I mean, it's a very clear message. You need to shift something huge. And that can be terrifying, the clouds. But the reality is, it's so exciting and it brings so many new things and so much new energy. And it's time to embrace it. If you want to carry out your dream, time to make big moves. So the butterfly effect deck, rebellion, no more playing it safe. You're learning to care less about what others think and get in tune with your inner rebel. Time to discover your true, authentic self while you reap the benefits. I don't know that I need to add anything to that. I mean, this is so clear. There's something that you've been wanting to do, but it's scary. It's scary leaving behind everything that's familiar, but sometimes you can't move forward until you do. So through the eyes of the soul, sorry, my eyes are really itchy. My allergies are playing up. Seek a wise elder. So if you're on that precipice and you're not sure what to do, you may need to find someone to talk to, whether it's someone who's been on that journey before you, whether it's speaking to your parents, maybe it's seeing a therapist or a counselor, someone that you trust and somebody that has their head screwed on and can give you good advice that will actually help you, not someone that will speak to you from fear, not somebody that will speak to you to try and talk you out of something that would keep you stuck in the same place. So I would be careful with who you pick here. I think about when I was moving out of Australia and I had so many people tell me that I was an idiot, that I couldn't do it, that it would never work because it didn't work for them or it didn't work for their friend or I was too old or whatever it may be. And the reality is I had to trust my gut and I had to speak to people that I trusted to give me good advice that would be honest. So nobody blowing smoke up my ass and telling me how amazing I am if they thought I was completely unhinged, and nobody telling me I can't do it because of their own fears and biases. So, okay, so when I was moving over here, I had a very clear plan, an idea. I had work lined up. I had all these things. If I had have said to my friends and family, I'm moving over because I'm going to become a singer, I'm going to become a pop star. At that point, somebody saying to me, you're an idiot because you cannot sing, I would need to hear that advice. But I wasn't trying to do anything that was outside my expertise or anything that I couldn't do. So anyone telling me no, it was coming from fear. So just I tell that story because you need to be careful with who you trust, but find someone that you can trust that comes from a place of love and honesty and speak to them. The second card from this deck, bringing peace to troubled waters. I feel I feel like the troubled water is your own mind. You've been torturing yourself because you're not happy with where you are and you want to shift things, but it's scary to do it. And so it creates this sort of inner torment. So you can bring peace to this. And look, If there's nothing else you want to do and you don't want things to shift, well, then stop torturing yourself and don't feel like you have to do something that you don't want to do. But at the same time, if you're feeling stuck and if you feel like there is something that your soul is calling you to do and there's a dream that you want to pursue and there is a path forward that is realistic and it's something that's totally feasible, you need to ground yourself. You need to focus on it, make a plan, and calm yourself that way. I feel like that the troubled waters is all internal. I don't feel like it's external. And if it is external, it's because you're letting other people cast those shadows and you're believing it. So cut out the noise, sit and be honest about what it is you want, where you want to go, what you want out of this life. And then if it's a big shift and you're ready to do it, take the leap. And the final card from the Archangel Michael sort of light oracle, your loved ones are safe. Let go of your fear and worry for your loved ones. I am looking after them. So maybe what's holding you back is that you're worried about leaving them behind or letting people go. There were people when I moved that said, you're leaving me behind. No, still love you. I'm still there for you. Just maybe I'm not there on the day to day in the physical, but it doesn't mean I'm not there. And I had to explain to a few people that me moving had nothing to do with them and it had everything to do with me and my soul and what I needed to do in this life. And you can't live your life for someone else. I hope these readings, no matter which pile you picked, resonate with some of you or all of you. Please let me know in the comments below which pile you picked and if it did resonate. I love hearing what does and doesn't resonate for people. I will be back on Monday with the weekly Oracle Wisdom as always. And this coming Thursday, which is it the 6th or the 7th? I think it might be the 7th. Maybe it's the 6th. Anyway, Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific to 4 p.m. Pacific, we have Season Vega, who's joining us on Gemini Rising. She's a psychic medium and manifestation coach. And I am so excited to have her on the program. She is so much fun and she's so full of energy and has so much wisdom and, has great exercises that you can do to help shift your life. So if you need a little bit of guidance, join us for that. If you're live in the chat, you can ask questions. We'll make sure that she answers them. If you're not going to be able to join us live, send me a DM or leave the comments on the video below, and I will make sure we ask her, and you can then watch it in the replay. So join us for that, and I hope you all have a wonderful November.